It's 8 o'clock, and this is the regular meeting of the Planning Board of the Village of Dobbs Ferry on Thursday evening, July 7. We have 3 items on our agenda. The 4th item has been dropped from our agenda and will not be discussed this evening, 23 Manor. Before we start, I'd like to talk to the board about 2 suggestions for our schedule going forward this summer, and I'll make it in the form of a motion so that we can act on it if people so desire. First, given the tradition, we've often skipped one of our summer meetings depending on what was in front of us, and for the past several years, given what's been going on in the village, we haven't been able to do that. But I think looking at our schedule, and from what I understand going forward, at least at this point, we have a light schedule going forward, and I would like to suggest and make a motion that we cancel the August meeting. And secondly, in September, depending on where the meeting, our regular scheduled meeting has fallen, around Labor Day weekend, we've often moved that meeting, and I would again suggest that we move our September 1 meeting to September 8 to avoid the long holiday weekend that we otherwise would be involved with. So I would make that as a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion among the board? All in favor? Good.
Do we have a resolution for that?
Whereas.
Yes, everything I said was part of the motion. First item on our agenda, as you will see, is the adoption of the planning board minutes for several meetings. We do not have those minutes available to us tonight, and we will postpone that to the next meeting. I think most people realize that our minutes have become very shortened just to show what was happening. There's videotaping of all of our meetings, and for people that want to see what the discussion was and who said what, those are always available and probably more useful for people than their actual official minutes. So we will postpone that to our next meeting. Item 2 on the agenda is continuation of public hearing for site plan approval for proposed site improvements, including landscaping, retaining walls, on property listed located at 145 Palisade Street.
Good evening. Michael Lewis, architect. My impression is, and it's really for you to decide, is that the material has really been presented at the last meeting. Since then, we went to the Board of Trustees meeting, and I think they were fine with it, and it's sort of not the middle way. They basically said that we should come back and see you again, and I understand that after we see you, we get to go see them again. And I'm not sure when this really ends, but
It doesn't.
It never ends.
It doesn't. It's not supposed to. It's a process.
We did have a few comments from the engineers and the landscaping consultant, which we just received hours ago, regarding some of the selections of the plantings that had been proposed. I spoke with our landscape designer, and she said that the comments were well considered on the part of Muntz Associates, and that we'd be willing and able to adjust those comments by changing some of the plant materials and discussing everything.
That's
We
good.
haven't had a chance in the last few hours to make substitutions.
We should have begun by opening the public hearing. This has been an ongoing public hearing, and I would move that we open the public hearing at this point. All in favor? Second. All in favor? Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
So if you need any further presentation, or if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer it.
I don't think that.
I do have one, just because I was in the parking lot recently and trying to get to my office. And so, but the question was small ones. Basically, was there any thought about from the parking lot, having a passage further north. In other words, you don't have to come back through the driveway. You know, if you could, a pedestrian exit out to that sidewalk there.
Not really. I think that they are intending to, well, I'm not sure exactly where you're talking.
So if you're in the parking lot on the east side and you want to get to Cedar Street, right? So currently you'd have to walk wherever you are in the parking lot, I guess south down Palisade, and come through the fence and
Right.
the main entrance and walk back, as opposed to a little stair to kind of sneak you up to the sidewalk there.
This is, your comment is the first time that's really come up as a consideration. It may be that it was just neglected at this point. I suspect that, in fact, they really want to control the circulation through the main roadway and the entry to the property.
For pedestrians, yeah,
For pedestrians and vehicles and everything.
okay.
I mean, there's a continuous fence that shuttles the property. I know you probably wouldn't want to do that, but I haven't discussed it.
Thank you. Other comments by the board? If not, we do have a resolution.
You have to close the public hearing?
Yes. Does anybody want to speak? Anyone wants to speak?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Anybody from the public want to speak? No, we don't.
Thank you.
So I move that we close the public hearing. All in favor? Second, in favor. Thank you. It's a short one, short one. So I propose the following resolution. Whereas Michael Lewitz, Architect PC, on behalf of Cazo Properties, has applied for site plan approval to undertake a series of site and minor building improvements to the property known as 145 Palisade Street and identified on tax assessment maps as sheet 3.80, block 36, lot 2. Whereas the applicant has submitted the following plans and documents in support of the said application, and there's listed a series of, it looks like about 10 or 13 plans that they've given us and we've reviewed and our consultants have reviewed. Whereas a duly noticed public hearing was held on June 2, 2016 and continued through the meeting of July 7, 2016 to provide for both public input and discussion by and between members of the planning board. And whereas the planning board members are familiar with the site, have reviewed the submitted plans and Han Engineering staff reports of May 26 and June 28, and now therefore be resolved that the Village of Dobbs Ferry Planning Board commends the applicant for the well-designed proposed improvements, noting that the proposed landscape improvements along Palisade Street will enhance the streetscape in this area. And be it further resolved that the Village of Dobbs Ferry Planning Board recommends that the Board of Trustees grant site plan approval for the subject plans, and that the following conditions be strictly adhered to. 1, the applicant shall comply with conditions enumerated in the May 27 and June 28, 2016 Han Engineering staff reports to the satisfaction of the village engineer and the village consulting landscape architect. 2, all applicable provisions, site plan regulations, other applicable county and state regulations be met. 3, all required site plan and engineering review fees shall be paid prior to the issuance of a building permit. And 4, the following language shall be added: approved subject to all requirements and conditions of a resolution dated July 7, 2016 of the planning board. Any change, erasure, modification, or revision of the plan absent reapproval from the Board of Trustees shall void. Be it further resolved, this resolution shall have an effective date of July 7. I will make the motion. Is
Actually,
there a
Mr.
second?
Chairman, should we add conformance with the new comments by the village landscaping consultant?
I think that's included in the, it says, and village consulting landscape architect. I assume that's,
Well, it references 2 reports, one from May 27 and June 28th, and if this one just came out.
well, yes.
We can add that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
In the June 28 memo from Han Engineering, item number 1 is the applicant shall conform to any comments made by the village's landscape architect. So that's item 1.
You feel that covers it?
Okay, good, thank you. So I make the motion. Is there a second? Second, all in favor? Aye. Motion is approved. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Item number 3 is a continuation public hearing for site plan approval for proposed extension and renovations to the property located at 19 Portland Avenue. Is there someone here to represent the?
Came down hard.
I don't know.
I'm sure that applied to two.
We probably said.
Do you want to open the public hearing, Chair? Mr.
Yes,
Chairman, while they're,
I move that we open the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
That was a second by Mr. Brosnahan.
There's anybody second.
You know, the public comment about 145 Palisades, the parking lot, the noise from the beacon. Could they invent a, backup alarm that only, the sound only goes out 15 or 20 feet?
But the beeping happens when they're doing their work. It
Yeah,
doesn't
that-
have-
but
What?
it's about the beeping, it's not about the work,
Yeah, that's true.
This is the beacon.
If you could use the microphone, please.
Good evening. These drawings are really very different from the last ones that we presented, but at the last meeting, planning board meeting, we were asked to send out public notices. And originally, we thought we would be asking for a waiver. This project has 2 additions, and one of the additions is over 10 feet away from the front facade. They're both 1-story additions, but the one on the side, which is this one here, there's a requirement that if an addition is more than 10 feet from the front facade, it has to come in front of the planning board. So that's why we're here. We received the comments from Con Engineering, and, they seem fairly minor, and we'd be happy to add the notes and information asked for. I reviewed the items with Simon Barco, the owner. He's a contractor, and he's moving in with his little kids on Thursday. So we actually submitted for a building permit because we thought maybe we could at least get the permit for the kitchen, well, pending approval for the living room, because that doesn't fall under the category of an addition that needs planning board approval. But he also agrees with all the items on the list. We'll add them to the site plan, but and these are the approved drawings approved by the architecture review board with the color scheme on the end. The only thing he is really concerned about is the requirement for a bond. And I just wonder if we could talk about that.
For what? Public improvements?
Yeah, there's a requirement.
Is there a public improvements?
No,
What's the bond for?
at the end of the memo we received today, it indicates on the last page a list of notes to be put on the plan. And one note says, before the site plan is signed by the chairman of the planning board, the applicant shall be required to post a performance bond or other type of acceptable monetary warranty, which shall be an amount determined by the planning board and the village engineer.
Is that for stormwater, George?
That's, as you mentioned, public improvements or stormwater, yes, that's in the village code, so that would be probably a de minimis amount, considering the amount of improvements.
Because,
It's in the code, it's required for the stormwater. I don't think there's any public improvements, right?
Yeah, I don't think you have public improvements.
So,
does that apply to, isn't this not a public improvement? spec units in for the addition?
Both, two separate issues. Public improvements is one issue, which could include storm water,
And
and separately.
private stormwater,
Yes, private stormwater falls under the code, yeah.
and what would the amount be?
It would probably be something equivalent to what the cost of the storm system would be, or to maintain erosion. Maintain the site, keep it fluid, so it's not a.
Huge amount.
No.
Okay. I just wanted the owner to know, he's very concerned about, you know, if it's a large amount, how we would get that kind of bond, you know, with
It's not gonna be,
what it's about.
it's not gonna be like,
Okay. And I guess that'll be determined.
by the
when-
village engineer.
Oh, you will. Okay.
We'll use your fee. Now, when it all comes out great, you'll get paid.
That sounds fine. I just wanted to understand, and so we're happy to comply with all the items on the list.
Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
No.
Good. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone wishes to speak on this issue? I would then move that we close the public hearing. Second, all in favor? Aye.
We have a receipt.
We do have a resolution on this, which I will read. Village of Dobbs Ferry Planning Board Resolution granting site plan approval for building additions to a single-family house at 19 Forkland Avenue, whereas Christina Griffin, architect PC, on behalf of the Barco family, has applied for site plan approval to construct building additions to a single-family house at 19 Forkland Lane and denoted on tax assessment maps as Section 9, Block 26, lots P 64 and 65, whereas a series of plans and documents were submitted, whereas the planning board has inspected the property, is familiar with the nature of the site, the surrounding area, and the proposed improvement plans and use of the property, whereas a public hearing regarding the subject application was held on July 7, 2016. All comments were considered, whereas the planning board has reviewed the staff report prepared by James J. Hahn Engineering dated June 8, 2016 for the application, whereas the construction of additions to single-family house is a type 2 action under the SECRA and is therefore exempt from further environmental review. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board of the Village of Dobbs Ferry hereby grants site plan approval for the subject application conditioned on the following. 1, all applicable provisions of site plan regulations and other applicable county and state regulations shall be met. 2, prior to the issuance of building permit, all required site plan and engineering review fees shall be paid, and all items in the village consulting engineer's memo dated June 8, 2016 shall be addressed to his satisfaction. The following language shall be added to the plan, quote, approved subject to all requirements and conditions of a resolution dated July 7, 2016 of the Planning Board of the Village of Dobbs Ferry. Any change, erasure, modification, or revision of this plan absent reapproval from the planning board shall void this resolution. Further resolved, resolution to have an effective date of July 7, 2016. I make the motion. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, one clerical.
Yes.
Instead of June 8th, June 29th. That's the date.
Thank you. I hear a second. All in favor? Aye. Item passes. Thank you.
I have one question for you. I spoke to Ed Manley earlier, and he has submitted the drawings so that this addition was pending planning board approval, and we were gonna get a permit in 2 parts. He said I should ask and see if this board is comfortable with that idea. He is ready to get started like on Monday, but we still need to provide all that information to Hunt Engineering to get the permit for,
That's not really a planning board issue.
not you?
No.
Okay.
I'll talk to Ed about it.
Yeah.
It should be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I assume you can have all the construction out there, one after the other. So, yeah.
The last item on the agenda, the applicant is not appearing and we are not taking comments tonight. I move we adjourn. All in favor?